In 5:45, I'd like to call the Wednesday, February Board of Public Works, Sewer Utility Commission, and Park and Rec Committee to order. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Like I said, this will be a joint meeting with the Board of Public Works, Sewer Utility Commission, and the Park and Rec Committee. Any changes to the agenda, Robert or Ginger? Looking for a motion.
We'll move to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Barrington, second by Mr. Beast or Mr. Dorsey to adopt agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public input. Public input, I see nobody here, so we'll move on. To consider the feasibility options and choose a site for the future wastewater treatment plant upgrades. Robert and Ginger.
All right, I'll start this off. Put a little PowerPoint presentation together. Kind of going over why we're here tonight. Sequencing warrants consideration of an adjacent site that was brought up by Mr. Gerbitz from Donahue at my last Board of Public Works, discussing using the adjacent site to build the plant. So what I did is kind of put this together. So purpose of tonight's joint meeting: identify if the city wants to pursue building the wastewater facility upgrade on the adjacent site. If use of the adjacent site is approved, it will give Donahue the okay to start preliminary planning at that location. Even if the permit extension, or even with the permit extension, we're on a progressive timeline. So that's the reason why we're meeting together, to keep this process moving if it were to get approved. The adjacent site can work with either option of the 5.1 or the 6.1 for the upgrade. What will not be decided at the joint meeting tonight? If it is chosen to use the adjacent site, where would the new sliding hill be located? This will be determined at future meetings, more than likely on the Park and Rec side. It will not establish or select what option the city wishes to pursue as far as the 5.1 or the 6.1. This will be presented for discussion after a layout and the new cost estimates are established if this adjacent site is to be used. You will not be approving a layout design, so everything in these slides kind of show illustrations to provide representation, visual referencing for placement. It does not by any means say that this portion of the upgrade is going to go at this exact spot. There's still adjusting that can go on. So let's get into the nuts and bolts. The existing site cons. So building on the existing site. And these slides I took from Mike's presentation. So this is just one of the examples of the many that they put together in trying to sequence with building the upgrade on the existing site. So what I did is list the cons that come with this. So the cost, the most important factor of this whole thing, all listed below factors lead to cost increases. The number one thing we're trying to do in upgrading the facility to save money for the ratepayers. So during the lengthy construction, the existing plant will be running on a lot of temporary systems. The contractor would have to put redundancies in all these temporary systems to make sure the facility stays running and does not violate permit. So this example, they're taking out 3 structures. This would be like phase 1 of the planning. As you can see, some of the layout does overlap on where the yard site is, on where salt storage is. And then they're starting to construct this over some of the demolished buildings. So a lot of planning, a lot of staging, a lot of temporary stuff. Oh, by the way, that they kind of figured would be at least a year just to reach that point of the demolition of those 3 structures and placing those 4. Then you get to phase 2. Again, some more cons. The complexity will drive away some potential bidders because of the risk involved with the project. This, as you can see, just using square boxes, some hashes and some round circles, it doesn't really get into how complex this is. You're taking offline systems, putting online systems, and trying to keep this whole thing running while you're doing this upgrade. The number of unknowns that will lead to change orders. You can expect in this type of risky construction that there will be change orders, and change orders equal cost increases. This here example of phase 2 would be around 2 to 2.5 years to complete just this second phase. This third phase, some more cons: the increased duration of construction. Like I said, display pictures like the one shown does not show the amount of equipment, supplies, temporary systems that will be in the same area at that time, trying to not only destruct, construct, and keep the plant running. Another factor is the staff will have to run this facility in conjunction with the construction. So you're running like 2 separate entities within this whole area to keep that plant going. It's a lot of stress, a lot of work for the staff. And the last one I have is, like I kind of mentioned before, the potential of relocating yard waste and salt storage. Here it shows dismantling the rest of the existing once the new plant is online. The existing site pro is that the sliding hill would remain in the same place untouched. So we wouldn't have anything to do with the adjacent site. I tried to find other pros to putting this right back where it was, and it's hard to find any. Onto the adjacent site pros. An open site to do the majority of the construction with the standard amount of risk that's associated with any type of construction project. It makes it attractive to the bidders. They know that they can come there. They're keeping their business occupied for a long period of time in a relatively safe fashion, because they can construct almost everything without having to worry about bypassing or changing things. The duration of the construction would be considerably shorter than trying to sequence things, because you're not demolishing, putting in temporary, and then rebuilding. This is build and put it online. The existing facility could be run as normal, bringing in extra income by still having the ability to receive outside septic. During any of that upgrade on site, if you're trying to receive septic, there's going to be times when it's just not capable of bringing in that extra money or revenue, because there's no way to bring in that septic, where this still provides that opportunity. And yes, I left the new yard waste site facility over that blue, but while working through commissioning of the new facility, you'll still have the old facility to fall back on while you're working through getting the new plant up to speed. You would have the ability to separate the demolition of the old facility as an alternate or a separate bid. By separating the demolition, it might bring in better competitive bids by just those contractors alone versus having one general for the whole thing and they're bringing on a demolition person through all those stages for on-site. It does open up that large area for multiple uses, which would be determined down the road. It's not even on the docket for today. Adjacent site cons, the sledding hill would have to be relocated and a new area would have to be established for some of the public works supplies that you kind of see in that aerial, but that's not a big issue as far as finding a location for that equipment we have back there. So on that note, I will open it up to any discussion or any questions.
So I would like to just say on our behalf as the Parks and Recreation Committee, when Robert first came to me with this, I am 100% want to say this on public record that I was ready to roll up my sleeves and fight for our facility. After I sat through the Public Works meeting, learned the pros and cons, talked to Ben, talked to staff, I understand that this is the best option for you. We want to work together. We have a great working relationship. And when he pulls forth the cons for the first option and presents those immediately, and then presents the pros for the second option right away, he's not doing that on purpose because that's a leading way. He's doing that because that is the best. I mean, it's obvious. So I just want the public to know that we've talked about this in the meeting, in behind closed doors with each other, with our staff, and we've understood the needs at the wastewater treatment plant. So this isn't definitely something Parks versus Public Works. This is the city working together for the most economic resources available. So just want to put that out there.
So my only question then is, how do we guarantee that the sled hill goes back up in a timely fashion?
That is definitely our major concern, our biggest
So-
concern.
And I don't know how all this works, but does the wastewater treatment plant buy that land and that money gets set aside to put the sled hill up? But the bonding, or how, I mean, I don't want us to. The wastewater treatment plant has to go there. Everybody knows that. But I don't want us dragging our feet saying, oh, we don't have the money to put up a sled hill. Oh, we don't, you know what I mean? It needs to correlate with this, that when that gets taken down, a new one is already being put up. Or very shortly after. You know what I mean? Not drag our feet that, oh, we don't have the money. We don't have the money.
I would
That-
prefer not to have a winter without one.
Agreed.
So that's what how do we? We're all on the same page, it needs to go there, but now we need to discuss how do we make sure that the hill is put somewhere this summer?
I mean, I've been thinking about that also, Dave, and my thought was when and if that sled hill does get taken down, there's a possibility just to haul that fill right to a new location if we have that designated already.
With that said, do you see another area in the community that would support the sled hill?
I think that's a conversation that we'll put on the agenda immediately with the Parks and Recreation Committee and have that conversation.
Because all that dirt's gonna have to go somewhere. In the perfect
Ginger-
world.
Ginger and I have talked a little bit about a couple potential.
So you have some ideas.
Absolutely.
In the perfect world, we move it one time.
Right, exactly.
I just wanna make sure
And
that the
some
money
of
is there to
that-
move it. I
Some
don't,
of that land, some of that dirt or film may not be what we need there, so that'll be an additional cost, you know, if that fill is not acceptable, so.
That needs to be put on the wastewater treatment plant upgrade then, because that's the reason why it's moving.
Right.
And in talking with Judy on that, yes, I mean, we're gonna confirm, making sure that's all up and up, but yes, I mean, the whole point of moving, removing, changing, whatever the sled hill is because of the project. Ultimately, the final cost is anticipated to be much less because we're on a clean site instead of that. But like we said, we're not here to discuss locations for the sled hill. It goes on the next Park and Rec Committee agenda for immediate discussion for planning. You know, assign Ginger for site selection ideas, pros and cons, and we start going from there. Whether the dirt's moved, whether you need that dirt to fill in the holes from the old wastewater treatment plant, lots of questions to be answered yet. But that's for future discussions. Right now is, do we want to direct Public Works and the engineer to continue planning on the Sled Hill adjacent site?
So I have had several conversations with constituents in my district and outside my district regarding this. And everybody is gut wrenched over the sledding hill, but they are also, it has to be done. The community understands it, that it has to be done, but they definitely want to see the upgrade to the Parks and Recs for a sled hill and whatever else we can manage in a new area,
Yeah.
something like that, because there's a lot of, London loves its heritage.
Yes.
And, you know, that sled hill has been a part of this community for decades upon decades. And there's a lot of memories there, and people are going to be sad losing the site, but it will be better if we do have a new site, upgraded options for the Parks and Rec. And nobody ever wants, we have to do this. Everybody knows that. We have to do it. It has to happen. It's the best thing for the ratepayers and the citizens of New London. It has to happen. But we also have to honor the Parks and Rec sacrifice in this. So
correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like we're all on board of making this site the new wastewater treatment facility. In respects to moving the sled hill and making that happen. You folks here sitting in these seats are the ones that are gonna make that happen. You have to commit to yourselves, to your constituents, that is what's gonna happen moving forward. We have to take that leap and do the work to make it happen. Like I said, if you don't want that to happen now is time to speak up and we can discuss that. But I think for the most part, everybody's on board for committing this site.
Any other discussion?
I would just like to say, like, I think having a new site is a great idea for maybe not so obvious reasons. We've all seen companies, businesses, corporations add on, retrofit, try to make old work with new. It never goes well. It always looks shoddy. Something doesn't work the way it should. It's not as a reliable system as modernizing technology and upgrading. It's just not the same. Sometimes you just have to level an old house and build a new one. And you're talking about, you're gonna have the people that work there, plus contractors and stuff there. That brings a whole insurance liability into it. All it takes is for someone to be careless, for someone to get hurt. Versus you have a new site, that's where the builders are going, that's where construction's going, it's their site, it's on them. All the liability is on them. You take it all off of the city. You have less chance for people to get hurt. That also includes people coming in for yard waste, for bringing in that extra sewage and stuff like that. You just minimize risk, you enhance the facility, you make it better to last long term. Is it perfect? No, but it works. I mean, nobody wants to use a porta potty, so it just is what it is. It has to be done.
And to capitalize off of what you said and a little bit of what Ms. Garsky didn't say is the existing site has miles and miles of piping underneath, you know, you can see the physical stuff as you showed in the presentation, but it's all that stuff you don't see underneath. What is mapped there and maybe what is not. And then, like you said, you know, constituents don't want to use porta potties. You're building on that existing facility and something goes awry. What are we gonna do? Compared to having the new site, building on that site, facilities that are running, and when the new site gets running, working out the bugs, we can still fall back on that old system. We should have a backup. So that's another pro.
And as far as, and this is like purely, cosmetic. As far as moving it to the new site, it's tucked back a little further away. It is not right there on a corner, a major corner of New London. It's not the first thing you see when you come into New London.
No
Like,
offense,
yeah, no offense, Ben, we love you and we appreciate you to no end. But it is, you know, it gives a little bit of a more, it gives the city a buffer in the ability to clean up the appearance of coming into New London. You're not just driving into New London and seeing the wastewater treatment facility off of X. So, there's so many things that can be done with the site once the old treatment plant is down to help with the beautification and the promotion of New London.
So Mr. Hess, I don't know if you're looking for a vote or if you're looking for direction.
I just, one more thing I would like to add into Robert's thing is people that are listening to this, that didn't listen to the Public Works meeting the first time. Mike told us that this is probably gonna be a savings of 10%, give or take, without the possibility of more change orders with putting at the old location. So we're talking real money savings here, so I think we can make a Sled Hill,
million.
we can make a Sled Hill work somewhere, Dave.
I want to guarantee that the sled hill is going up this summer.
Well, like the mayor
We will
said,
make
it's-
that guarantee.
that's our choice right here.
I think that's gonna relieve a lot of pressure too, once they find out that it's, like Dave says, it's guaranteed they're gonna have a hill. I think that's gonna be the hardest thing to take, you know, knowing you're losing the sled hill in that location anyway.
So if we're looking for a motion, can we include that in the motion that the Sled Hill will be reconstructed? Or is that not what we're really,
I would just say with the intent.
with the intent? Okay,
And I was just gonna talk, just before you call that, timing wise, when did they say ideally in the construction schedule, construction would begin? Ideally?
We don't have a set date. Once they do more field analysis, more borings, find out what they're dealing with, we'll all kind of put the package together, so to speak. Funding wise, we kind of have that timeline down. Construction itself, what they have to do to explore to make that site work, that will probably begin sometime, I would imagine this summer, this year, to do that exploration, but the actual funding and the overall site preparation build would be in 27.
So, and that's something maybe you can ask Mike. I'm assuming, which I would ask that you confirm, that the exploration part would not affect the Sled Hill operations for next winter. That we more than likely could have another winter at the existing site, so that we could talk about construction of a new Sled Hill in 2027 for the winter of 2027, 2028 for potentially new Sled Hill, which gives us time. We don't have to build a new Sled Hill in 2026, but I want you to confirm that with Mike on that time.
I'll get all that information and that'll be at the Board of Public Works on March 2nd.
So, John, like you said, I would say if you want, put something in motion with the intent to reconstruct a new Sled Hill after investigation. That'd probably be a good thing.
I guess as chairman of Park and Rec, Mr. Besaw, you good with everything?
Fine. That's the option I would go with.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, looking for motion, let's say what the motion is meant to, you know, when you make the motion, include what you're making a motion for, so people can hear that.
Make the motion to choose the site of the sled hill with the intent of having a new sled hill. Having a new sled hill the same year we lose that one. You can wordsmith that however you want.
He's got that worded wrong. He said, you're talking moving a sled hill. But we should be saying, we want.
We're gonna put the
move the
wastewater
site,
treatment
the
plant
wastewater treatment
where
plant.
the sled hill is. With the intent of moving the sled hill the same year we lose the sled hill to a different location.
Okay, motion made. So motion made by Mr. Dorsey to choose the site plan where the sledding hill is now, with the understanding that the year we lose the sled hill, we will reconstruct a new one.
Correct.
Intentions of doing that. And seconded by Mr. Ritchie. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Seeing no further questions, looking for motion for adjournment. Motion made by Mr. Rissy, seconded by Mr. Barrington for adjournment. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.